Sad news earlier in the week. The movement lost a true ally and a true friend in Damien Jones, who passed suddenly and at an incredibly early age. We don't even know the details yet. I'm sure somebody does, but I wanted to get on right away and say something about Damien because we had some time together. I didn't really know him. I certainly wouldn't have really called him a friend, but this secular community here is so small and so fractured to begin with that we can ill afford to lose anybody to anything. And it just kind of points up the fact that we need to work together while we're all here. Humanism is the theme of the next podcast, and Damien was a humanist, and he was a person who cared about real problems and real solutions. And he had a keen mind for assessing a situation. He could listen and watch and observe a dynamic in a room and objectively and correctly assess a situation and the dynamic in that situation, and therefore making it much easier to understand for everybody, to empathize and to come up with solutions. And that's a rare thing. I know that because I'm the same way, and I don't say that to be a jerk. But I recognized that in him because I'm much the same way. I like to observe as much as possible and really try to understand the other person's point of view, no matter how much I make fun of it or what an asshole I become when I think I'm funny and I want to hear myself talk. That's always going to happen because that's who I am. But underneath, I'm a deep empathizer and a very sympathetic person, a sensitive person. And Damien knew what this movement needed, and he didn't really have the time, and I mean that in a life sense, obviously, but in terms of his daily routine. He was a busy father, a musician, a poet, a thinker, and he took care of his family all the time, and so he didn't have a lot of time for the activism that some of us are lucky to have a little bit more time for in our daily life, or who find it so important that we make that time. He did what he could, and we're going to miss him. He and I didn't get along. We had a healthy relationship. If we saw each other, we were cordial, but we faced off a couple of times over differing ideas. And again, of course, that's the beauty of humankind and of groups like ours, and countries like ours, where we can still have open discourse like that. But the fact is that I respected his abilities and his talent and his mind and what he brought to a movement that sorely needs minority members and minority voices, and he was that. He was a person of color and a devout atheist. I say that with my tongue in my cheek, obviously. He was an out atheist, and he was an out black atheist, and we don't have a lot of those. And he worked with Mandisa Thomas, known to us all, the great activist in Atlanta who started the Black Nonbelievers nationwide. He was working with her to start one in Milwaukee, which is an uphill road that I can't even imagine as an atheist in my demographic. It's hard enough, but to do what they're doing and have been on CNN for it and to be making strides anywhere is remarkable. So I'm sad that he won't be able to finish that. I know they would have gotten around to making it happen sooner or later. There's like 6 black atheists in Milwaukee, and we know most of them. I tease, of course, there's lots, and I hope one of you can step up and come out and fill those shoes, because that's really what the movement needs. It needs diversity, it needs minorities, it needs people who aren't afraid to come out and say that they're atheist from all walks of life. It's easy for me to do it. It always has been easy for me to do it, and I never take that for granted. I was raised a white male American, and I was raised a liberal Protestant, which gave me all the tools I need to be the arrogant atheist and be open and out about it. And that's a rare thing to be able to do in this country where we are persecuted. So I can't even imagine being a member of other minorities and an atheist. It's brutal. And I work for the day when that will end, among other things that we work for. Damien's got a memorial, his family raising money on GoFundMe for his final expenses. We're going to try to get this one out right away so we can get that link up. Please consider giving to that fund, and maybe we'll see you at the memorial. And remember, hug your kids. Again, life is short, and this is all we got. And Damien made that count while he was here.